Michael Saylor, Bitcoin's worst enemy or greatest ally? That's what we are going to see in this video. Of course, Michael Saylor needs no introduction. He's the guy who is hell-bent on buying as much Bitcoin as he can. MicroStrategy, currently known as Strategy, is the biggest public company that holds the biggest amount of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor has been promoting Bitcoin like crazy for the past 4 years, ever since he started buying Bitcoin. And of course, Michael Saylor is the Bitcoin maximalist who urges everybody to buy Bitcoin and to never sell Bitcoin. But the question that this video I'm going to answer is that good for us Bitcoiners or is it bad? Should we consider Michael Saylor our ally or is he the enemy of Bitcoiners? Because one of the things that Michael Saylor says is that he will never sell the Bitcoin. In other words, every Bitcoin that Michael Saylor buys means that Bitcoin is completely out of the market. You will never get it. So Michael Saylor already holds a lot of Bitcoin. I think 2% of the supply of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy now holds 2.5% of the total supply of Bitcoin. So how should you think about it? Is it good for you? Is it bad for you? That's what I'm going to explore in this video. So let's check Strategy's website to look at how many Bitcoins they have. So here, as you can see, this is Strategy's website, and the Bitcoin count, the Bitcoin holding of Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, is 592,100 Bitcoin. That's a crazy amount of Bitcoin. So this is how much Strategy holds of Bitcoin. Of course, Michael Saylor is not planning on stopping to buy Bitcoin anytime soon. He's going to keep buying Bitcoin forever, as he said. And he's going to keep buying it at the top. So he doesn't really care about the price of Bitcoin. He just keeps buying Bitcoin. Now, of course, like I said, one of the things that Michael Saylor says is, I will never sell my Bitcoin. You should never sell your Bitcoin. But Michael Saylor goes even further and says that he will not even sell it if he dies. So as you can see here, Saylor added, we are all in it together from now to eternity. So that's my legacy. He personally holds more than 17,000 Bitcoin. Strategy itself would never sell its Bitcoin holdings the way the US government has vowed not to. Saylor clarified. So Michael Saylor is not planning to sell any Bitcoin. Any Bitcoin he buys or any Bitcoin Strategy buys is completely off the market.
The lesson of Bitcoin is the best asset. There is no second best asset. Buy Bitcoin. Keep buying Bitcoin. Don't sell the Bitcoin. Ignore the noise.
So I think he made it clear that Michael Saylor is not going to sell any Bitcoin. Strategy is not going to sell any Bitcoin. And a lot of people think if that's good or bad for the Bitcoin community and for people who want to buy Bitcoin. As you know, the Bitcoin supply is shrinking. As you can see here, Bitcoin supply growth is now below the dollar and gold. So as you can see, monetary issuance decreased from 900 to 450 Bitcoin a day after April 2024 halving. In other words, from here on out, at least in the current cycle, only 450 Bitcoin a day are available for buyers. And the amount, of course, is going to decrease by the next halving. So new supply to decline by 50% every 4 years until 2140. So as you can see, Bitcoin, the supply growth in 2024 was less than 1%. It was 0.85%. And the US dollar, since 2015, the average annual supply growth is approximately 7%, which is exactly what I demonstrated in my video on inflation. You can check it out here. I'm going to link it. What I make the case that inflation, the real inflation, is not really 2%, but it's 7% on average. 2024 Bitcoin supply growth was 8.8% lower than all major fiat currencies and gold. So Bitcoin supply is shrinking. It's going to keep shrinking. And institutional adoption has already started. A lot of companies are now adding Bitcoin to their treasuries, following on the footsteps of MicroStrategy. I always say MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor's company Strategy. And so that means there is less Bitcoin for you to buy, and there will be less Bitcoin for you to buy in the future. And maybe some of you might think that this is some kind of hoarding and it's bad and it will hurt the Bitcoin community and it will hurt, of course, Bitcoiners and Bitcoin holders like myself, and especially retail Bitcoin holders. Because if you can't buy any more Bitcoin, and if the Bitcoin you want to buy is completely off the market, then where are you going to get the Bitcoin? And not only that, but Bitcoin is going to keep going up forever. So the price is going to get more expensive. And that means there is less Bitcoin to buy, and the Bitcoin that is still available for you to buy is going to be way more expensive. So I make the case, my view on this is that hoarding is not really bad. What Michael Saylor is doing, what all these companies are doing is not really bad for Bitcoin, but it's actually good, but only if you own Bitcoin. If you are late to Bitcoin, if you start buying not anytime soon, and you want to buy maybe years later when Bitcoin becomes mainstream and everybody knows that Bitcoin is digital gold and everything, then that's bad for you because you will find very few Bitcoins to buy, and it will be very expensive, and basically you would have missed the opportunity to make money. But if you are buying Bitcoin now, what Michael Saylor is doing is actually good, and I will demonstrate it to you by showing you what Murray Rothbard explained in one of his greatest books. I read this book many years ago, which gave me a clear idea of what money is and how money has been destroyed by the American government and by governments all over the world after that. So the book is called What Has Government Done to Our Money, which I highly recommend that you go and read it. It's actually a very small book. You can read it in a few days or maybe even one day if you have time and you enjoy reading. And so in the book, Murray Rothbard makes the case that hoarding is not a problem. So in this chapter, it's called The Problem of Hoarding. So he says, and I'm going to read, "The critic of monetary freedom is not so easily silenced, however. There is, in particular, the ancient bugbear of hoarding. The image is conjured up of the selfish old miser who, perhaps irrationally, perhaps from evil motives, hoards up gold unused in his cellar or treasure trove, thereby stopping the flow of circulation and trade, causing depressions and other problems. Is hoarding really a menace? In the first place, what has simply happened is an increased demand for money on the part of the miser. As a result, prices of goods fall and the purchasing power of the gold ounce rises. There has been no loss to society, which simply carries on with a lower active supply of more powerful gold ounces. Even in the worst possible view of the matter, then, nothing has gone wrong, and monetary freedom creates no difficulties." So basically what Murray Rothbard says here is that when someone hoards quantity of money, of course, he's talking about money mostly in its function as a medium of exchange, but money also functions as a store of value. And when it comes to Bitcoin, we're still in the store of value phase. Most people buy Bitcoin because they want to save their money from being depreciated. They don't really use it for transactions, for buying coffee or whatever. So when Saylor buys a lot of Bitcoin, what is he basically doing is that he's shrinking the supply of Bitcoin. Now, of course, that doesn't hurt Bitcoiners and people who hold Bitcoin. That only strengthens the Bitcoin that is left in circulation. That will only increase the purchasing power of the Bitcoin that is left in circulation because it has become more scarce. Bitcoin is already capped at 21 million, and there is a halving that happens every 4 years. And then there are people who buy a shitload of Bitcoin and they hoard it and they will never sell it. That will also help increase the price of Bitcoin. So that's good for you if you own Bitcoin and if you keep buying Bitcoin right now. Maybe in 10 years, 20 years, when Bitcoin price will mature, although I think it will still keep going up forever, because the dollar will keep depreciating, fiat money will keep depreciating anyway, and the supplies is completely capped. And we will keep producing, we will keep increasing our productivity, because when productivity increases and the goods in an economy increases, whereas the money supply is fixed, then the money supply, the purchasing power of that money supply increases because we have more goods. All right, so that's what's going to happen. So if you own Bitcoin or if you are someone who has Bitcoin, do not worry about Michael Saylor buying a lot of Bitcoin, not selling it forever. Do not worry about strategy, not selling the Bitcoin even after Michael Saylor dies. That's actually good for you if you own Bitcoin now. It's not going to hurt the Bitcoin network. It's not going to hurt anybody. It will make Saylor rich. It will make strategy rich. It will make you rich if you own Bitcoin. And of course, the only people who are going to maybe get hurt, I'm not going to say hurt, but they will miss the opportunities, people who are not buying Bitcoin right now. Which is why I say study Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, keep buying Bitcoin on a consistent basis, and in the future you will definitely become wealthy. So yeah, I would recommend you go read What Has Government Done to Our Money if you want to understand the money more profoundly and if you want to understand all the things that we talk about, and it will actually give you a clearer perspective on why Bitcoin is perfect money. Because at the time that Rothbard was writing this book, he was making the case for gold. Gold was the best commodity at the time. But now we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the best commodity, so we can't really make the case for gold anymore. So yeah, that's all I have to say in this video. Let me guys know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this Michael Saylor is an ally? Do you think he's the enemy? Do you think he's good for Bitcoin? Do you think he's bad for Bitcoin? I would love to know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel, send this video to a friend or two, and see you in the next one. I post videos on a daily basis, so subscribe and hit the bell button if you want to get notification when I upload the videos. And see you in the next one. Take care.